Okay, and welcome back. Glad you're on tonight. Glad to be back on our regular broadcast line. First up tonight is Dr. Leonard Coldwell, one of the most courageous, heroic men I've ever known and who have ever been on this program. He has risked his life multiple times in an attempt to stop the globalist New World Order Zionist invasion of Europe and, of course, America. This is something that cannot be taken too seriously. Dr. Coldwell, are you there? Not yet. Todd, look in your email box. I've got a second number that he just sent me and wants you to use. They have already cut his electric system off, so his regular phone is not working. So hopefully you got that. Let me see what this says. Hang on just a second. Yeah. Okay. This has happened with Dr. C many times. They interfere when we have him on the program here. So let's see what we can do here. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to send this again to Todd, just in case. Let's see. Okay. All right, that's all.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Coldwell.
Hey, Jeff. The second your studio called me to confirm it, I was on the line. They shut the entire electricity to my house off.
Unbelievable. Well, this has happened before to us, so I guess it's not so unbelievable. It's just, it's outrageous
really
what it is.
Ridiculous that they do it that obvious. It is just unbelievable. It's just,
well, it just makes you look all that more vital in what you have to say, that they're going to such stupid lengths to try to silence you. So,
yeah,
whatever.
It's just, as I told you last time, they made me pay $33,000 fine for a post on a website that whether I did not make, I don't own the website, I don't own the picture. So there's nothing I can do.
Now, when you say they, you're talking about German authorities.
The German authorities, the Office of Data Protection, just stated I posted a picture on one website and I'm not supposed to post this because a person complained. So it's not my website. I didn't make the post. I don't know the person. And basically they already sent the sheriff out in Germany, where they, of course, cannot reach me to get the money. It is just ridiculous. But it's not, we don't want to bother the users, the listeners with it. It is just really interesting. So if I disappear again, please have your studio call my cell. And,
all right, we certainly will. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Leonard, first of all, how are you feeling? If you don't know, dear listeners, they've tried to kill Leonard several times with deadly poison, sea urchin-derived poison, or sea anemone, one of the others. I think it's an urchin. And he has survived it. And
barely.
It's been tough. It's been tough. Barely is correct. I know, we've talked, and I haven't had Leonard on. It was a time when we couldn't get him on because he was too sick. So
yeah, I have a friend from MI6, from the British Secret Service, that gave me the antidote for the neurotoxin from the sea anemone, and otherwise I wouldn't have survived it. So I was 4 months completely out. That was the 7th attempt of my life, by the way, and since then my colon. I had 2 poison attacks after that. My colon was completely full with ulcers, and thank God you sent me the Allison C and the C
Oxy-C.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. Most of all for energy and any form of inflammation. It just really pops up the body. And I now got also the Australian, the thing for the morning.
Oh, yeah, Australian Excellence.
Exactly. And
it works.
that really,
great.
It works.
It's a great product. Another great one, yes.
Oh, yeah. It really, really works. And I can tell you, they gave me something, a poison that basically dissolved my colon. and I'm to 70% from 6-8 weeks ago, from nearly dying. Now I'm 70-80% back just from the products you sent me. And thank you again, Jeff. That was a lifesaver. And the thing just
nice.
it worked within 3 days. I mean, I took it, and 3 days later, I felt it was like day and night. I felt 50% better instantly, and now I'm pretty much okay for everything I've been through the last couple of months or years, and that's I'm pretty okay. I mean, I'm 80%, and
I can tell by the sound of your voice. I know you, and I know when you were sick we talked. This issue of having products that actually work now is so important. Leonard has written a number of books.
25 bestsellers.
Yes. He has written books about nutrition, about supplements, about politics, about all sorts of crucial issues to the survival of our species and our culture, our society. There is a war against Western white Christian civilization. You all know that. But Leonard's knowledge of products is extraordinary. And let's be honest, and I'm not speaking for Leonard, but 95% or better of most products that people say, you've got to have this, you've got to have that, they're okay. They may do some good if you're severely deficient in some area or another. But the products that I've been able to find after 25 years, these are exceptional products. And you just heard a completely unsolicited, I didn't ask him to say anything about this, but what he says is the truth.
You never would, Jeff. But I have the entire, we are leaving for Germany, so I have the entire suitcase full. As you know, I bought everything for my family in Germany, so I have the entire suitcase full.
Yeah.
Most of all the liquid zeolite, which if people have any idea about zeolite, we all have heavy metal toxicity and poisoning,
Yep.
and the most zeolite is more toxic than the heavy metal poisoning, and the liquid zeolite that I got through you is just phenomenal. And people need to understand, I owned, I don't want to say the name, but I owned a long time ago one of the largest supplement production companies in the world. And I can tell you that everything that comes from China, in my experience, is highly toxic, dangerous, full with rat feces, with mouse urine, with spiders, with black mold. Black mold is one of the strongest and most dangerous neurotoxins in the world. If you inhale it once, you never get a life insurance anymore. It is. I really know what's really going on the market, and if I see all these wannabes out there producing stuff, and then 90% from everything I researched comes from China, and nearly everything comes from China. Remember when they poisoned our dogs and cats a couple of years ago with toxic?
I do. Yes.
Cat and dog food. Then they had lead paint in toys for children. And of course, the Chinese, they make our vaccines. Isn't that really, really nice?
Oh, we're asking for it. We're asking for it. Well, Americans can't make vaccines anymore, right? Something so vital that people actually, those who allow something to be injected into their system, into their human body. And they're trusting China to do this, to not harm us? Oh, please.
Yeah, and if you think about from our fighting, our jets, fighter jets and things like this, crucial parts of it are made in China. So if there's ever a conflict, we don't even have the parts if we need to have our airplanes.
And we don't know if the parts have back doors in them either, because there are some electronic parts.
I'm willing to bet that it's full. It's like the Huawei cell phones and all these kind of things. This is all full. Mm-hmm. You need to understand the new cameras are now thinner than a hair and tinier than a dot on an eye. If you type in a typewriter an eye, the dot of an eye is bigger than these microphones, and they are thinner as a hair. Yeah. And this is just really, people need to wake up. Jeff, the only, see the crash will come. There's just not even a doubt about it. The crash will come, and as you know, they planned it for the 3rd of November with a fake attack from a so-called Russian nuclear sub on Seattle. And this is a plan that's out there for 2 years. I think it's so known now it might not happen. But they really want to get us in a war with Russia. And so the plan was to act like we are hit by a nuclear bomb from a nuclear sub. And then they plan to kill millions of people with a heat weapon. And like they did in California and everywhere where you could see that the houses were burned, but the trees surrounding the houses were completely intact. And so it's just really unbelievable what's going on. But something will happen. We don't need to kid ourselves. Something really bad will happen, and most of all, if the New World Order goes down, how it looks like now, Trump really got them by their behind, and so it's just really. And as I said to you a long time ago, I think 3 years ago, that Trump is going to get them to the pedophile rings. And now they connected Schiff to some raid with a pedophile issue. I haven't read it. I just read the headline when it came in. But they're all in it. I mean, at least 86%, 88% of all people in power are somewhat connected to Satanism, to human sacrifice, to pedophilia. And all of this is on these servers or on these videos that Epstein had. And that's how Epstein was blackmailing everybody and keeping everybody in line. And I do not know if you already read it or saw it. They basically got to a bunker in the Netherlands, in Holland, which was full, a gigantic bunker, a former NATO bunker, full with servers with child porn. So they investigated it for 5-6 years. I think it's in connection with Epstein. I think they need to keep the tapes somewhere. And I was always wondering, where are these tapes that they blackmail these people with? And there was a company that bought this bunker from the EU, from NATO. And so it's huge. I forgot the dimensions, but it's unbelievably huge. And this is full with these servers.
That's right. That's how it was being distributed. Apparently, one of the main lines of it, right there.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think, let's say Epstein is not dead, because did you hear ever of a funeral 40 days later? I haven't.
No. We don't. Look, we'll never know unless somebody breaks rank and tells us. We'll never know what really happened. We don't know.
Right.
I wasn't expecting a funeral. I wasn't expecting a legitimate autopsy. Look at Marilyn Monroe. Look at how many others have there been? If the word comes down to put a blanket over something, it's covered. Done.
Yeah, it's like with our Supreme Court judge.
There you go.
He was 100%, in my opinion, murdered.
Scalia, right? Of course.
Scalia, yeah. Of course. And so there is, if you look at it, he specifically forbid to be mummified. He was mummified. He specifically forbid to be burned. He was burned. This entire thing is so wild. And
True.
And I mean, you need to really look at what's happening right now. They're in complete panic, and somehow it has to do with this Epstein issue. I don't know how and what, and he might be very well, as other people are saying, in witness protection program, which I really don't care one way or the other.
You mean Mossad protection program?
Exactly. And so it's just the wildest thing if you really look at what's really going on right now, because, first of all people that should really know, I wouldn't have cash in the bank. I wouldn't have cash anyway. I only have gold and silver because I'm really, really sure, because there's so many things that the banks did and what happened to the stock market shortly before it crashed the last time around. And you could buy nearly half of Fort Lauderdale for next to nothing all of a sudden with a big real estate crash and stock market crash and so on. And all these same pattern. First of all, the stock market is blown out of proportion. This is unreal.
So it's cuckoo land. Crazy.
Yeah, absolute crazy. And so I personally bank on gold. All my life I banked on gold, and I'm pretty sure that Trump is going to get rid of the Federal Reserve, or they get rid of him, one way or the other.
I think the latter is more likely. I don't see it. 10 Federal Reserve banks in the U.S., all connected to the City of London. If he goes against the power brokers, which I do not see happening, they'll step on him like a fly.
Yeah, that's what JFK did.
Yeah.
He is just really pushing them to keep the interest down, and the Federal Reserve Bank, a foreign bank owned by foreign bankers, that's never been audited, and the Federal Reserve itself sits on its own property. It's not a part of America. People need to understand that. And but if the interests stay the way it is, and Trump forces them to go even further down, they are broke in a year.
Correct.
See, theoretically, he doesn't need to do anything.
It's underway already.
Yeah,
it's running on its own energy.
Yeah, it's imploding. And that's why I would say I'm not a financial expert or consultant. It's just common sense. I just tell you guys, I wouldn't have any cash in the banks except what I need to pay bills with. And I would not have, of course, gold certificates. If you don't have the gold physically, you have nothing.
Oh, my God. I've never understood that, Leonard. I don't know how people can buy into that scam. They don't take delivery, and they think they've got gold.
Yeah, it doesn't even exist. It's just a promise to pay. And when it comes down to it, they just say, oops, sorry, we don't have it. And the people are so naive.
Exactly right.
And they do it over and over again. It is just really the wildest thing.
Here's Go ahead. No, you go.
The thing is if you look at the self-eliminating process, Bernie Sanders with his heart attack, Biden has a permanent stroke, I believe, or something like this for the last 20 years. And they're all getting out of there.
There is something wrong with the man. There's no question. You're right. That's not a joke. There's something mentally wrong with him.
Yeah, he has sign of dementia. That's for me as an expert, that is very obvious that he has sign of dementia in a really serious way, and I think it's much, much worse than that. On the other hand, you don't even know with all their electronic weaponry and all the radiation, all the beams and everything that's going on there. They don't even know if they do something to people. But if you look at their ages, I mean, what in the world is going on with these old people? How can anything ever change if we have for 40 years the same people running the big hoax over our country and stealing everything and all the same, the Bushes, the Clintons, it is so ridiculous that people are even going for it. I mean, in my opinion, and I'm an expert, in my opinion, everybody that votes for Democrats must be mentally ill, because how can you live in so much denial without being mentally ill that you cannot see what they do and what they did? The last thing against Trump was the Ukrainian phone call. I actually think it's a setup from Trump. But they will never impeach him. There is no way in hell. I mean, in the House, yeah, but not.
Well, what will happen, Leonard, is that the Democrat House will conduct their inquiry, and rather than shoot themselves in the foot, they'll simply say the inquiry did not produce enough material to draw up articles of impeachment, and they will therefore close the inquiry. That's how they'll get out of it if they're smart. Because it isn't going to work.
Have you ever seen a smart Democrat?
Not yet.
See, I mean, they are so. The Schiff guy is really, or Schumer. These people
take your choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke, and that they have not been voted out, thrown out, arrested. I mean, the treason is coming. I'm seeing Trump mentioning treason. Started 18 months ago, more and more and more and more. Treason and sedition, and I am sure the arrest warrants and the sealed indictments are already there. And I think we don't really have to deal with a lot of Democrats anymore very soon, because...
well, let's call them what they are in many cases. They're communists, okay?
Yeah, the greatest dirt in the universe.
You want to call them socialists? You don't play games. They're communists.
There is no socialism.
That's
Socialism
right.
is a precursor to communism. There is no socialism.
That's right. 100% correct. Hold on a minute. Dr. Leonard Coldwell and I will be right back. He's heading over to Germany again soon. Hold a prayer for that. Make sure everything goes well. We will be back in a minute. Paul Craig Roberts wrote a very touching article, important article, an essay on October 1st. We'll talk about that in just a minute, and other things as well. Hold on. Okay, welcome back. Talking to Dr. Leonard Coldwell just before he leaves on his next trip to Germany. Paul Craig Roberts wrote October 1st an essay entitled Swedish Women Experience Mass Rape by Immigrant Invaders. Well, he could have elaborated a bit. Swedish women experience mass rape by Muslim and sub-Saharan black invaders. That would have been a little bit more to the point. But the article itself begins, and this will bring a lot of memories and information forward from many of you, and certainly Dr. Coldwell. The mass rape of German women in the aftermath of World War II is now the plight of Swedish women. Remember, the same Swedish authorities who do not want to hear rape charges against immigrant invaders. How about Muslim rape gangs made by white Swedish women are the authorities, the same authorities who launched accusations of rape against Julian Assange for consensual relations with two eager groupies. So we have a parallel in history here. Sweden is gone. It's being decimated, rather like Germany was gone after the end of World War II. And when the Bolshevik, communist, Zionist-inspired hordes of Russians and Mongol troops came in and were told and exhorted to rape everything they could get their hands on, the German people suffered like nobody understands. And that suffering went on from 1945 to 1953, when over those years, 8 years or so, another 10, 12, 13, nobody knows, million Germans
18 million, Jeff.
18 million Germans were murdered. Okay? And let's not forget, I know this sounds a little bit lesser in its magnitude, but General Dwight Eisenhower, our hero, was nothing less than a murderous, genocidal maniac, just like Churchill, just like Bomber Harris. They all were. General Patton was, in fact, our greatest hero, and General George Patton figured it out at the end. He said, we fought the wrong enemy. We were tricked. He knew. And General Patton was murdered to shut him up. Leonard, go ahead.
Okay, you need to understand that the mixing of races to create or basically destroy a culture, and therefore the past, therefore the history of a human race, of a country, of a culture, like they are doing it now in Germany, Sweden, in Denmark, everywhere, is basically how you destroy a country. You destroy a country from the inside out because you pull their rugs underneath their feet. So what you do is you take everything away that is good about their past. You take everything away that they could be proud of. I've been told in school growing up in Germany, my great-grandfather was a Nazi pig, and the entire Second World War, even if financed by the same Jews that financed Stalin and Hitler and the First World War, and it all started in 1913, was a creature of Jekyll Island, was a founding of the central banking system and the stuff, and they decided, the Zionist Jews decided that they're going to get rid of Germany and the German seed, as they called it. So basically, what you do is you take everything away that makes somebody strong. So I created the IBMS Master Society to help people to be themselves. And my system is the only system that can cure people from everything. And the thing really is that if you're not yourself anymore, if you're not proud of yourself, see, the only cause for cancer besides poisoning and accidents is mental and emotional stress caused by living in constant worries, doubts, and fears, is caused by living in hopelessness, having no hope, having no self-confidence, no self-love, no self-esteem. And what they do in Germany, like in Sweden, if you get raped and you fight back, you go to jail for assault because you fought the guy who was raping you. We have all these posts that Merkel forbid on drcoldwellreport.com. Even if you don't speak German, the pictures say thousands of words or millions of words that you see there. And I mean, they just raped with 11 guys, a 14-year-old girl for hours, and they're all set free because the judge said the girl didn't really clearly say she doesn't want that. And
see, Merkel, if I might add, from my perspective over here, Leonard, you're German, I'm German, but I didn't live or grow up or was born there. Merkel is arguably the greatest traitor, not only to Germany, but to the Western Christian world. She is the agent of mass destruction.
Yeah, I mean, it is proven that that Honecker picked her when the war was still up, the East German leader for the DDR. The eastern part of Germany, Germany was split in two for these young guys that don't know what was going on. Germany was cut in two because he said Germany is too powerful, so he cut it in half. And the east part was controlled by the Russian and the western part mainly controlled by the Americans. That's why we grew up in relative freedom and more on the capitalistic end, while East Germany was 100% communistic, and it took them 28 years to completely destroy a booming country. West Germany was booming, created the economic miracle, while East Germany, after 28 years, had nothing to eat anymore. They broke down, and the wall came down between the two Germanys without a bullet fired. That's because everybody was done with it. But it was a big plan from Erich Honecker, who was the president or the head, the chancellor of East Germany. And he picked Merkel and trained Merkel, which was in his political party, the SED, high up, even as a kid. We have pictures of her being in this SED youth party. And he basically, they said, why are we fighting the West? We are really stupid. We let the wall come down, mix our communists with their capitalists or so-called socialists, and then they will destroy themselves because the East German part, I mean, they came to West Germany and they didn't want to work longer than an hour. They said, we are used to just work an hour and then there's no material anymore. But they all got paid, of course, with money that was worthless. There was nothing in stores to buy, nothing. And if they got shoes, everybody got white shoes once a year, and then they have to stand in line for hours and days to get these shoes and all this kind of stuff. You cannot even imagine what was going on. And they basically invented the entire surveillance system that's now worldwide in use because the technology is now there. But they had it already down just with people. The thing just is, if you mix races, and it has nothing to do with racism, it's a scientific fact. I'm a horse breeder. If I breed different horse breeds, there's never a champion came out of it in show jumping, dressage, whatever. The only champions are clear straight bloodline. If you mix different races with different cultures, that means there is no culture anymore. There is even infighting between husband and wife. There is nothing you can get back to. See, I have honor, dignity, and pride is basically what I stand for. And this is what's missing worldwide, and it was done on purpose. The destruction of self, the destruction of being proud of yourself, the destruction of loving yourself, respecting yourself. You cannot love somebody else before you love yourself. And lack of self-love is the main cause of cancer. And this is what people need to understand. There is no illness. There is no such thing as an illness. There are symptoms caused by mental and emotional stress or chronic lack of energy. The only cause for illness is lack of energy. There is no other cause. What leads there is a different story. But there is no illness. They take some symptoms and give it a name, and then it's an illness. So they make you believe, because they have a name for it, they know what it is and how to treat it. Far, far from reality. Guys, if you want my latest book, The Only Cancer Patient Cure, the publisher has been threatened and will not republish it in America, but it is download now, since we cannot get it republished. You can get it on my website, drleonardcoldwell.com, as download, The Only Cancer Patient Cure. And I explain it why there's only one cure and exactly how you can get cured as a cancer patient, and that's relatively fast. I personally can cure every untreated cancer patient or not pre-murdered or assaulted cancer patient by the medical profession in about 3 weeks, in average. And because it's not an illness, it's an accumulation of symptoms. And it is like Otto Warburg and Max Planck got a Nobel Prize in medicine by proving cancer cannot exist in an alkaline, oxygen-rich body. It can't. Right. No microbe can exist. You cannot even get a bacterial infection if the body is not acidic and toxic enough to support this growth of the microbe. So basically, if you think about it, the biggest hoax that ever was committed on humans is the belief that there's an illness. You have something, it has a cause. And my IBMS system is identifying and eliminating the root cause of all negative results in the human's life, because there's no difference if you have cancer in the body, if you have cancer in the wallet, cancer in a relationship, cancer in your finances, cancer in your career, because it starts all with you and it's all in you. You sabotage yourself for whatever reason, and that's what we help you to find out and eliminate that. And then the symptoms, the being broke, being sick, having no good relationships or partnerships, that disappears on its own if you eliminate your self-hatred or your brainwashed hatred towards money and the belief money is a bad thing, that you believe you don't deserve a good relationship or you don't deserve to be healthy. And this is how they basically
they break everybody down. Yeah.
And the next step is now the destruction of culture and history. That's why they ripped down the statutes of the Civil War. The Civil War was a very honorary war. They were fighting to get out of the central banking system. It had nothing to do with slavery. Absolutely nothing.
Now, that's about as honorable as it gets for a nation, too. We did not want to be under the boot of a central banking system. We understood
exactly.
that.
And so that's why they take the Confederate flag away, which had nothing to do with oppression of black people or slavery. Absolutely nothing. And Lincoln, Lincoln only used it when it looked like he's losing the war to get support from the inside in the South from the black people, so that they were fighting the Southern soldiers and disrupting the flow of material and things like that. But that was his only reason. He treated blacks worse than the South in many cases.
Lincoln was a racist. Lincoln used the N-word in practically every sentence people around him said. He was constantly railing about blacks. And they took it all out. They completely reinvented history. I'll mention it again. The one book on Lincoln you should all read is The Real Lincoln by Thomas D. Lorenzo. It will tell you the truth. And as now we have search engines, and everybody uses the big search engine, right? Well, the database that search engine goes to is constantly being cleansed of inappropriate, according to a certain group, material and information. In other words, history, as we can easily access it, is continually being shrunk before our very eyes.
Jeff, I have 4.8 billion with a B, billion views on my videos, where I teach people how to cure cancer themselves in a week or so. And so I have over 4,000 videos on the internet about people interviewing me. I have more than 3,000 interviews that I have given. I have over 4,000 posts on my own out there. And every day there's 100 or 200 less. I don't even come up anymore. I'm the world leading expert for cancer patient cures. Nobody knows even 1% of what I know and what I can do for cancer patients. And I cannot even post my own websites on Facebook, for example. If I put in www.drleonardcoldwell.com, it deletes the post. I cannot even post my own website. And so if you see what's really going on, they're unsubscribing my followers. Interestingly, hundreds of followers are deleted every day from my Facebook site, and I'm looking at it, and my brother is missing, and I call him up and says, "Did you unsubscribe me? What did I do to you?" And he says, "No, I wasn't even on Facebook forever." And so I know people are unsubscribed without their knowledge. And if you think about that, I'm the most blocked on Facebook, on Google, the most defamed person on Google. The Cancer Patient Advocate Foundation, the website, cancerpatientadvocatefoundation.com, has all info for the cure, natural cure of every disease in the universe. And it's all free. We're not selling anything. It's all free. This is the most blocked website in the world. So we still have 90,000 to 108,000 views a day.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still the most blocked website on Earth.
Well.
So it's just really what's going on. The good thing is that even the dumbest idiots are starting to wake up and saying, really, there's something kind of strange here. It only took them 20 years, but at least
it's I don't know if there's any hope for them, but
no,
at least they're beginning to realize, and I think you phrased it well, that there's something wrong here. They can't quantify it. They really don't know how to pull it all together and explain it. They just know that things are wrong.
The IQ get limited to 90. That's what their goal is. So a professor,
7 points every generation. It's being reduced here. 7 points every generation. It's being reduced. 2 generations since World War II. There's 14 points on average across the board.
Yeah, but with every vaccine, with every flu vaccine, you lose IQ points.
That's
with every single one.
Correct. Yeah.
And so you cannot even my book. Vaccination and assault with a deadly weapon, supposed to come out for 2 years. 2 publishers got killed. One publisher, the physical building got burned down. We're doing it now all digital. We don't find a publisher, and I don't want friends to get killed. And but the thing is, it's like with this loony, this Greta Thunberg.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how can you be so stupid as an adult to listen to somebody that's neurologically damaged? That is not. She has Asperger's.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Plus, she has massive problems with emotional control. This girl is a loony, and she's dumb as bread. She cannot even answer any question where she doesn't have a witness.
Soros is behind her.
Yeah.
Soros is behind her.
Yeah. Right. And we are posting it like crazy everywhere. And still, the interesting thing is, in the early days when I wrote something again for cancer cures, I had 150 trolls within 5 minutes making negative posts. Then the same thing happened as when I wrote something about vaccination. So now when I write something about Greta, I have 300 negative posts within 5 minutes.
Well, there's the machine, see?
Yeah,
that's the AI machine at work. Yeah.
But the good thing is nobody believes it anymore. They overdid it so much.
Leonard, she's weird. Do you remember after the Parkland High School shooting in Florida, that weird David Hogg came out and they tried to make him an anti-gun symbol, a poster boy? Same thing. Same thing with Greta Thunberg. Same kind of... And look at his face. There's something wrong with that guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
He may not be as damaged as she is, but they look at them. I put up a story with 6 pictures comparing side by side the two of them, and they look just remarkably weird, like some kind of genetic clone creation. It's bizarre. They're bizarre.
Yeah, and if you think they are all completely under control of all kind of substances, plus they have. I mean, my brother-in-law that they just murdered, they told me about 20 years ago that they had a suitcase. They just needed to walk behind you for 30 seconds, pointed towards your heart. You have a heart attack.
That's true. That's true. That's 20 years ago. That's true. Boris Yeltsin used to brag about they had a machine that could at 200 meters stop the heart of a goat anytime, and that's people too. That's 30 years ago. So long time ago.
A friend of mine, General Albert Stubblebine, who is deceased now.
I know Stubblebine. I've had him on many times.
We were really good friends, and he told me stories that were just longer than 20 years ago. That were just really unbelievable. And today, the chemtrails, the Morgellons. By the way, guys, if you want to cure Morgellons, 5 cups of natron, of baking soda, and base 20 minutes in it, and all the stuff comes out of your body. The living antennas and the living plastic particles.
They're read and write, transmit, receive little nano silicon-based devices.
Into an antenna.
Yeah.
And this is basically where all the problems are coming from, because every school shooter, every mass shooter is talking about they heard voices. And my brother-in-law showed me a microphone that they just point towards people, and whatever he says into this microphone, the person will hear in his head and thinks it's his own thought.
That was patented in the 1970s. It's called voice-to-skull technology.
Right. And so if you think about it, they are really panicked right now because they didn't foresee Trump. They were so sure that Hillary will win. And this is why the whole New World Order, the deep state, they are all in panic mode. And it's like a wounded animal. If you wound a grizzly bear, it causes more damage in the last hours of death than it cost in his entire lifetime. And this is the same with the deep state. And the thing just is, why didn't they just follow up on the Wiener computer? They could have arrested nearly everybody that you know from TV, from the political scene and from the Hollywood scene, because they were all in there with child porn and so on, as a New York cop told me. And this entire, and Loretta Lynch said to the New York cops, if you arrest him and if you bring this out and arrest these guys, I'm going to ruin your life forever.
All right. Hold your breath, because I have no reason to doubt what I've been saying for 34 months. Hillary is going to run against Trump, and the mainstream media freak show will have the political rematch of the century to play with for the next year. She's going to announce, I believe, on Monday, November the 4th. It's going to be fun. She beat Trump, allegedly, by 3 million votes. This time she'll say, we'll beat him by 10 million. Watch. This is going to be a show in politics like we have not seen before.
Trump gets 68% this time around. 68%.
Yeah. Have a wonderful trip, but above and beyond that, have a safe trip. I know you've got wonderful bodyguards. Just be careful, please. Extra careful.
Thank you, my friend. And I will be back the first Thursday in every month.
Very good. All right, Leonard. You be well.
Thank you so much, my friend. Bye-bye.
Okay. The extraordinary man, Dr. Leonard Coldwell. Just one.